Four, six, three, two, one. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of To a Woman's Heart, where we encourage, motivate, uplift, and empower women. So, just a little disclaimer, because tonight we were supposed to have Trinette Smith on from T Fit Light talking about getting fit during a pandemic, but she had an emergency, so we have to reschedule that. So the good thing is that we have my lovely niece, Denise,
Uh,
who we're going to be chatting with tonight. So if you have any questions while we're doing the conversation, please send them in the comments and we will try to answer as many as possible. So
true.
now we're going to do a little intro. I'm Renee, and we're going to let Denise introduce herself. So, Denise, introduce yourself.
I'm Denise. I am her niece.
So, tonight's conversation, and there's probably a lot of women out here who've dealt with this. And it
Right.
takes a strong woman to deal with a child with health issues. And so, right now, I'm going to let Denise give us a little back end story of how she was a mother who had a child who had health issues at the beginning of her story. So, Denise, kind of tell us, how you got on this track.
Well, I was, dang, how old was I? I think I was 23. I think I was 23 when I found out I was pregnant with Zaria. It was a girl. It was like totally by shock. Actually, Auntie Renee told me that I was pregnant. My mama told me first. I didn't believe her. And then my auntie, they all got on board and I went, did whatever, whatever. So I found out I was pregnant. The pregnancy was okay for the most part. Some small issues, I think, like normal, whatever, doing those small tests, stuff like that. We got fine until one day we had went to a friend's house, Brian and I, who was my husband. We had went to a friend's house and I had started feeling these pains and I didn't think nothing of it. I thought it was gas, to be honest. So we went home after we left the friend's house and I got up the next morning. It was a Sunday. We was getting ready for church. I was going to get ready for church. And I just started having these pains. So I decided to call my mom to see, like, oh, like, what does contractions feel like? I don't know what made me think of that, but it's what I thought about, right? So I called. She was at church. She didn't answer. I called like a ton of people. I think I even called Auntie Renee. I don't know who answered the phone, but I think my mom ended up calling me back, like, well, maybe you want to call the doctor. So I ended up calling my OBGYN. And she was never on call, but just so happened this day she was. And she was like, well, come in. So I go in, like these pains are getting stronger. At first, I thought I just had to have a bowel movement. So get to the hospital, whatever, come to find out, I'm like in full blown labor. At this time, I'm 26 weeks. So I'm nowhere near full term. I'm like 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time I get into to see my OBGYN, she tells me that I'm 5 centimeters dilated and my bag is bulging.
Hmm.
So now at this point, she's trying to do like what probably all doctors would do. She's trying to stop the contractions, right? So I'm hooked up to all these machines. They tell me, okay, now we're going to start pumping all these steroids into you because at this point, she's only 6 months. So her lungs and everything are still so far underdeveloped. So
Mm-hmm.
we're trying to just stop the contractions so she won't come out. So this is like Sunday. We finally get the contractions to stop. They transfer me to Northwestern because just in case I delivered, the hospital I was at was not equipped to deal with a premature baby or
Mm-hmm.
nothing like that. So we get down to Northwestern. Thank God, like they stopped the contractions. Everything is okay. So they tell me, well, you're gonna have to be here for a while because at least we want to try to get you like to 28, maybe 29 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Zaria clearly wasn't having that because 2 days later, so I was in labor for 2 days. 2 days later, I had Zaria at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
She came out. I delivered her regularly, naturally. I delivered her. She was 1 pound, 15 ounces when she came out.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't even really see her when she came out. I had like a team of doctors. I had a team of doctors for myself, a team of doctors for her. And they
Mhm.
just immediately just like rushed her off. They
Mhm.
rushed her off. They took her, started working on us, tubes down the throat, hooking up to machines, all that. I think I saw her for like some hours. When we finally saw her, she was in the incubator, just hooked up to like a lot of tubes and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And they just began to like to just tell me like, we have to go through all these processes. Her lungs was underdeveloped. She had a pretty good heartbeat, but just so many things that she had to do.
Mhm.
We had to do in order to make sure that we got her to the point to where she can function and live on her own, and things like that. And so it took us a while before she was able to come home. We went through blood transfusions and cardiologists and pulmonologists, and you name it, we had it.
So
But
how did when you started going through these things, how did you feel as a mother dealing with you being a mother and a wife and you were still working at the
I
same
was,
time?
I
So
was
how did you deal with all that?
At that point, at that time, I don't think I really had like a full blown. I don't think I had a moment where I stopped and was like, okay, let me channel my feelings. I think I just kind of went into like, I think my mommy mode just clicked on, and I went into like survival mode. Like, okay, what do we need to do in order to ensure that she could live like a healthy life? I don't think I ever thought about in that moment, like, oh, what's going to happen to my baby or what's happening to her. I never thought nothing about that. I knew I just wanted to find out, like, are there solutions? Is there medicine? Things of that nature to see how can we make her healthier. I mean, I think I had a moment. I did have a moment like when I was leaving the hospital and she was still there. So I
Mhm.
was in the hospital for a week, because I had like some small complications, so I had to stay. But
Mhm.
I was there with her for a week, and when I had to leave her, I think that was my biggest challenge because I mean, at that point, as a mother, I felt defeated. Like, here
Mhm.
I am, I'm going home, and my baby ain't going home with me. Like,
Right, right,
that's a problem. But
right.
shout out to my family who was really like very supportive, just like, she's gonna be okay, she has to stay there. And
Mhm.
so, we would go to the hospital and stuff every day to see her. I was constantly calling on the phone with the doctors, checking in
Mhm.
all day, her nurses, all of that.
Mhm.
Like, what's she doing today? Did she gain weight? What do we have to do?
Mhm.
Is she eating? All that type of stuff. So I did do that. I mean, but like I said, that first week was, I would say that first week was like hard just because I was home by that point and she was in the hospital. And I was like,
Okay, so let's fast forward a little bit.
okay.
So Zari was going back and forth to the doctor with you because they said she had a cold, right?
Right. So, well, we had started to notice, like, okay, so we Zari comes home and she's doing good. She's gaining weight, all that good stuff. So maybe she's about like maybe 1.5, two now. And like Brian and I are getting like next to no sleep in the middle of the night because we're fearful at this point. Like, I don't know. It's just something in me that says like something's not right with her. She's not breathing right.
Mhm.
I feel like she was like choking in her sleep a lot.
Mhm.
So I take her to the doctor. The doctor's like, oh, it's just a cold.
Mhm.
Okay. So they give us some medicine. Okay, well, that's not working. Take it back to the doctor. I'm like, this ain't working. She give me something else. So then I tell Auntie Renee, like, Auntie Renee, can you take her to the doctor because I got to work this day and I can't take her. So Auntie Renee take her. Needless to say, we end
So
up
I take Zaria to the doctor.
right,
Denise immediately say, give me a disclaimer. Auntie Renee, don't go in
right,
there doing this. Go in there and be nice.
right,
And make sure you put me on speakerphone so I can hear everything that's being said. So I said, okay. So I take Zara to the doctor. We went to the clinic on Lake Street in Austin.
right,
And the doctor comes in and she's still talking about this cold. And so I immediately kick in to my motherly instinct. I'm like, okay, it's not a cold. She's
right,
not coughing up no phlegm. It's a dry cough. Something else is wrong. And you need to dig deeper because the medicine that you have given her is not working. She needs an x-ray. So her mother can take her tonight to get the x-ray. And then we need to find out what's going on.
right.
So, Denise, did get the X-ray,
We
and
did.
she got her. I told her the doctor. Now I'm telling the doctor this. She
We
needs an
did.
ENT doctor. Now she's the doctor, and I'm telling the doctor this. She needs
We
an ENT doctor.
did.
So then she gets Denise an ENT doctor. So
Right.
Denise takes Zaria to get the X-ray. Thankfully, her lungs was clear, and then she takes her to the ENT doctor. So what happens at the ENT doctor?
So we takes her to the ENT doctor, and the ENT doctor immediately tells us like her tonsils are too large for the back of her throat, and her adenoids are enlarged, and they need to be removed. So I'm like, okay, and he's like, we got to get him out like right away because that's what's causing her like to not sleep well at night. Okay, fine. Like we got this was like November because it's like around Thanksgiving time, it's around the holidays, right? So the doctor tell us, okay, like the first week in December, let's schedule the surgery. We schedule the surgery, she goes in to have it. Now they initially tell us, we sit in the waiting room at Elmhurst Hospital, the new one over like off York Road. They initially tell us like, okay, it shouldn't take no more than like 30 minutes, right? So an hour go by, nobody came out and said anything, right?
Right.
Hour and a half go by, nobody comes out and say anything. So we sitting
Right.
there, and so finally the doctor comes out like with this distraught look on his face, and we looking like, what's wrong with you? So he's like, we can't bring your daughter from under anesthesia. Every time we bring her from under anesthesia, she crashes. He just begins to like read off like all these things, right? That's what's happening to her. You know, she couldn't come
So
from an
tell her what you mean by crash. She
so
stopped breathing.
she stopped breathing, right? So she stopped breathing. Like every time they tried to take her away from under the anesthesia, take the tube out, she pretty much she died, right?
Right.
So they put the tube back in to keep her, you know, she comes back, they revitalize her, she comes back alive, whatever. So he's like, well, I don't want to take it out anymore. Let's just keep it in. So I say, okay. He say, well, you know, this hospital is not equipped to do that. I'm going to transfer you to another hospital. So they got her stable enough so we could get transferred, right? We get transferred. We get checked in. They running all these tests, whatever.
So she went to Lutheran General, right?
Actually in general, and Park Ridge.
Park Ridge, okay.
So we up there, they running all these tests, whatever, fine. So they still don't know what's wrong, right? They just like, okay, so this is a Tuesday. Me and Brian in the room, they try to take the tube out. She dies immediately in front of Brian in our face. I'm sitting here, Brian's standing there, and all these stuff. I mean, she codes, like she codes, they call code blue, and everybody just rushes in the room. We still sitting there, like watching her, right? She's like not breathing, nothing's happening, right?
Right.
So they do all the work on her, they get her to come back alive, right? So they start running more tests. They like, we don't know what's wrong. We can't take the tube out because she's gonna die. Right. So then, like after a couple days later, we find out that something's wrong with her larynx, which is the flap in your throat that opens and closes when you breathe in and out. So they like, well, it's her larynx. So they like, okay, we could do a couple things. They tried to do that. That didn't work.
Right.
So I don't know who idea was, but whoever idea was, they decided to get a pulmonologist. Super long story short, we found out that she has what they call pulmonary hypertension. Pulmonary hypertension is high blood pressure in the lungs, right? So in Zaria's on the left side, at the bottom lobe of her lungs, it fills up with fluid and it doesn't allow the air to pass back and forth through. Right? So she was on these heavy drugs for days. By this time, it's almost Christmas.
What was the drug they put on?
One of the drugs she was on was Viagra, right?
Right.
So when they told me it was Viagra, I was like, that's not used for that. But initially, everybody out there, Viagra was initially intended for people who have this disease for hypertension in the lungs. Just so happened, one of the side effects is that males can become erect or, you know, get assistance with that part of their anatomy by taking this medicine. So she's on like these 3 top heavy drugs, right? For like days. She's pretty much in a medically induced coma. She's not waking up. They're just kind of keeping her sedated. I mean, in time she kind of fade in and out. And by this time, remember y'all, she's like 2. She's 2, maybe 2.5, right? She's not that old. So they finally get to a place where they want to take the tube out. So this is about maybe after like 10 days, maybe 10 or 12 days. They want to finally take the tube out. I never left. I stayed at the hospital the entire time. She slept in the hospital bed. I slept in bed, the little couch bed over here.
Mm-hmm.
So they get to the point where they want to take the tube out. They take the tube out and it works. It's successful. She's breathing on her own, which is amazing, right? She's doing great.
Mm-hmm.
So they keep her for a few more days, then they transfer us over to like the regular the ped side.
Mm-hmm.
What I didn't know and what they didn't tell you is that because she was on such heavy medications for so long,
Mm-hmm.
she began to have withdrawals. So if you can imagine a crackhead, right? They have withdrawals.
Mm-hmm.
She had full-blown withdrawals. Like she was seeing stuff that wasn't there, stuff was crawling up walls and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so one day we sitting in there, side note, funny story. She's laughing. She's in this bed. They got like the rails up because they don't want her to fall over because she's like in withdrawal stage.
Mm-hmm.
So she's playing with somebody. I don't know who she's playing with, but she can see them. Now I can't see them. I think my sister's there at the time. I think Brian was at work. She's seeing them. Auntie Renee is there. So she playing with somebody. So Auntie Renee has a son who passed away years ago. Well, it was him who was keeping her company, keeping her like, I guess, sane for lack of a better understanding, because the whole time she's in full play mode with who she was playing with.
So,
and it was
side note, so my son Darius passed at the age of 3.
Right.
So it's a coincidence that Zaria is in the 2.5-year old going into the 3-year-old, and what she needed from her mom and her dad, they couldn't give.
Right.
He intervened and he was there to give her the comfort that she need to get through.
Right. So that was amazing, Shout out to all the angels that watches over us who we don't even see every day. So after so long, I think we end up going home like a couple of days before. I think it was like a couple of days before Christmas. Mm-hmm. Because I remember like they had Santa come by. We were still in the hospital, right? So we go home, and when she walks in the house, she knows nothing. Nothing to her is familiar. She's scared to walk down the hall, right? So we still dealing with like withdrawals. Even like after she would come home and we would try to lay her down in her own bed. She would see definitely afraid of like spiders. She would wake up in her sleep some nights crying, like screaming, because she felt like spiders was like chasing her and attacking her and bugs. And it was like a whole thing, like a whole withdrawal. And it's hard to tell a kid who don't know, like, you're going through withdrawals, you know what I'm saying? So after that, it took us a very long time to get her to a space where she's at now. Now she's 11. She's pretty healthy for the most part. We still do. I still do have to monitor her. At one point, she was allergic to grass. I mean, she's a kid. How you going to tell a kid you can't go out and play in grass? Right. So, and then this is at this time, like we're going through the motions. We found out she has a hole in her heart, stuff like this. So all these things are like coming up. It's like one thing after another. Mm-hmm. So fast forward to now, she's 11 now. She's doing pretty good now, but we do have to still be overly cautious with her now, especially like with what's going on now with COVID, the flu. Shout out to Auntie Renee because Zaria takes all type of stuff, and early on, a few years ago, her doctor just really pushed us to get the flu shots, get the flu shot. She got all these lung issues, the heart issues, blah, blah, blah. Got the flu shot. First year we got it, she got the flu. No thing up her nose, all that. We got to stay with people 3 days. Second year, I say, okay, we'll try it again. She and I both got the flu shot. She got the flu again, right? Third time we get it. Now, ask me, I'm crazy at this point because I done let her get the flu shot now 3 times. She gets the flu again. I said, no more. no more after this. So I don't even let her get the flu shot. I'm really anal about like when she gets a cold, when the seasons change, even during the pandemic now, I don't really let her go out to like stores and stuff like that, just because for her, it turns into a thing. And I don't want it to like turn and manifest itself into anything.
Mm-hmm.
She actually just came off steroids not too long ago, maybe like a couple of months ago.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how she does, with it now. But
Mm-hmm.
she's been on steroids pretty much the last 10, 11 years. So my goal is to, kind of help wing her, I want to wing her off,
Mm-hmm.
so we have been lately, trying to like exercise more, trying to eat right, taking a lot of natural products, Auntie Nate told us about ginger root and sea moss powder. Actually, the sea moss powder actually works really good for her and Brian. My husband works at the railroad, and so I actually found a way to stir it and put it in the water that we put in the refrigerator, and they drink it every day, and they don't even know.
Okay, so with everything that you've been through with
Uh-huh.
dealing with a child with health issues, what was the thing that got you through the most?
Um, I
And what
would
would you tell
definitely
a mother if she's standing in those shoes right today?
I would definitely encourage that mom or whoever, whoever, even a dad, even if a dad, even if a dad is going through it,
Mm-hmm.
to really stay close to God. I mean, that really, really helped me. Especially when I saw Zaria like die in front of my face. I remember the chaplain telling me they brought the chaplain in the room with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember all I can remember saying to the chaplain was, whatever the Lord's will, whatever
Mm-hmm.
the Lord's will, then because he was hers anyway, he just lent it to me. So that was my thing. A really strong family, or if even friends, if you got really close friends and you're not that close to your family,
Mm-hmm.
just a really good, strong support system will really help carry you through. I thank God for my family every day. We go through the ringer all the time. We argue like everybody else, but
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't trade them for the world. They were really there for me, especially Auntie Renee. Even my sister, my mom was going through health issues, and they was bouncing back and forth through hospitals between my mom and Zaria, and like it was. When I say it was a lot going on, it was a lot going on, but I just really encourage you to be prayerful, to really, or to really get deep rooted in your faith, and just a really good strong support system, because you're gonna have those days where you're gonna be like, I wasn't set up for this. This ain't for me. I'm not built for this. Because if you would have told me when I first got pregnant that I would have been going through all this, I would have been like, you lying. I don't even believe you. I can't even, and even sometimes now I look at her and I'll be like, Dad, we didn't came a long way from like where we were at. I'm more cautious now. I am a little bit more on edge when it comes to like her health and stuff like that. But you couldn't have told me that, you know, that my child, that I would have to walk through that like with her. You know what I'm saying? So just being, be encouraged, find you a good support group is always good. Um, this is a great platform that Auntie Renee created to a woman's heart, just to kind of help, find somebody just to vent to, because a lot of times you don't really want people's opinion. You just really want somebody to listen to you. Just
Right.
just to scream and just to get it out and scream. I screamed a lot of nights. I cried a lot of nights. In the hospital, don't even know if my baby gonna live or she gonna die. And though, I mean, it may sound crazy, but I'm telling you, it legit, it helps. It helps you make it through. And you look over at that little person and you be like, okay, I gotta push through. I gotta make it through. If not for me, for them.
Right. And so to tag on to what you say, I say that for us on our side, what I went through with Darius was kind of something that a preparation process to
Right.
kind of guide us through, because it's a lot. People don't
Mhm.
realize you see a woman with a child that's sick or in a wheelchair or have oxygen.
Right.
It takes a special type of woman to take care of a special child that God has given her. You
Yeah.
have to have strength. You
Mhm.
can't be fearful. There are things in just being a mother, to, like Denise said, to stand there and watch your child die.
Yeah,
before your eyes, that's a lot.
that's a lot.
That's a lot to take on. And so we need these type of platforms. We
Yeah,
need these type of sessions where women can know that whatever you're going through, you're not alone.
you're not.
There is somebody out here who has experienced what you're experiencing. And if you have somebody that you can talk to, and I tell people, you stand on the other side of the fence and you don't understand what that mother is going through because you don't stand in those
Right.
shoes. And sometimes all she needs is just a listening ear.
That's it.
Somebody to be a listening ear, and somebody to be there to support her and just to tell her you can make it and it's going to be okay.
Yep,
And it's going to be okay.
it is. It's gonna be all right.
It is. So it's a lot. It takes you through emotional roller coasters. And sometimes you tell the Lord, Lord, why me?
Well, period.
Why me? Why my
Right.
child? Why I
Yep.
can't have a healthy child?
Right.
But he saw something in you
He
that
did.
was special and unique just for you to take care of that child.
Right. That's true.
And that's just how it is. So
Yeah.
any woman out there who's dealing with a sick
Yeah.
child, you're gonna be okay.
Gonna be okay, sis.
You can make
Or
it.
dad, or sick, or
Or
dead.
dad, you're not alone.
You're not alone.
You are not alone.
You are
And
not.
just know that, there is somebody out here that stood in your shoes. And I pray if there's somebody that's in your close circle, that they will be encouraging, that
Mhm.
listening ear, and they will pray with you and pray
Yeah.
you through what you're going through.
Yes.
We got to stick together.
Got to.
Got to. So
Be all right.
we're going to be all right. Zaria is 11 now.
She is. She 11 and she cooking. I mean, like I said, some days, sometimes it's better than others. You know what I'm saying? And FYI, if you're dealing with this too, because now I am in a different phase with her now. My mom and them joke with Zaria all the time. Zaria doesn't have any tonsils. She doesn't have any adenoids, and she still snores. Okay?
Right.
They ask me all the time, and it's I don't know. I have no clue. She doesn't even. If you don't know your tonsil and adenoids, it's what's a part of what makes you snore, and she still snores to this day. Sometimes, don't judge my baby. Sometimes, I think it's when she out at other people's house. When she at home, she don't really be that bad like that. Like because I listen for her. You know what I'm saying? Don't think that even though she's 11 years old, I still listen for her. I listen to her breathing. I try to make sure and she has a humidifier in her room and all that good stuff to make sure that the air stays like lubricated, stuff like that. And it's still a struggle. Even in her older age of living, she sometimes she still chokes in the middle of the night. And there's what you would think there's nothing like back there for her to like choke
Right.
on, but just those things that we're like still, working through. And unfortunately, the doctors don't have all the answers.
They don't.
So, we just, I'm always praying for her. I'm always listening for her. I'm always trying to see like, is she wheezing? So yeah, some nights I don't sleep as hard because I need to make sure that I can cut across the hallway just in case I need to, do whatever it is that I need to do. But if you out there again, you are not alone. You are not walking this walk by yourself. And even though some of our stories may be different, we can all relate because we're all mothers or fathers at the end of the day. And
Right.
like Renee said, if you need somebody to talk to, hit up that girlfriend or that best friend or whoever. You can hit me up on Facebook, slide in my DMs. I'm willing to encourage and talk and just listen if that's what you need, because you will need that.
Exactly.
You will need that to kind of help get you through. And I promise you, I'm a living witness. I promise you, God will give you so much peace that'll surpass your understanding. And then when you get on the other side, you'll look back and be like, Dad, I made it through that.
Exactly. And then I want to piggyback off of that. You have those instincts, those maternal instincts. Listen to them.
Yes.
Trust your maternal instincts. They are there for a reason. They are there for a reason. So listen to them. So we're not going to stay on longer than 30 minutes.
Nope.
That is our 30 minutes. I hope that this conversation has enlightened you. I
Yeah.
hope it has encouraged you. And I pray that this conversation has empowered you.
Right.
And I pray that you know that you are not alone.
You are not alone.
You're not alone. So other conversations that's coming, like I said, we're gonna reschedule the T Fit Light, getting fit during the pandemic. And then we got another conversation coming, starting over after divorce.
What?
That's going to be interesting. And if you have a topic that you think we should talk about, send it to a woman's heart at gmail.com, and we'll make sure that happens, because we need to have conversation. We can no longer sit behind closed doors and feel like we're boxed in with what we're dealing with by ourselves, because you're not.
Right.
All right.
Like, comment, share, subscribe, y'all. Tell your sister, best friend, cousin, 3 times removed. Tell her, come on, y'all. Let's create a community. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Let's love on one another.
Exactly. That's what we need more of. We got too much negativity on the TV where they show women where they can't get along, and we got women by the ankles, and we're not like that. So we can show them a different side. We can unify as women. That's why I created To a Woman's Heart. It's encouraging. So go to the Facebook page, go to Twitter, go to Instagram, go to YouTube, check out the podcast, share with other ladies. Women may not talk to you all the time, but they will read. They will listen. And then when they get enough courage or they feel strong enough, then they may partake. We just want to plant the seed. That's what we want to do. We want to plant the seed. So join in, ladies. Let's have this conversation. Let's have good dialogue one to another. It's a no judgment zone. We all go through stuff. We all do. So let's share what we've been through to help somebody else. Some of these young girls need these conversations. They need it. All right, ladies. So I thank you all again. I thank my niece Denise for stepping.
Thank you, Auntie Renee, for having me.
I called her up. I was like, look, I got an emergency here. I'm gonna create this quick flyer real quick. Do it. She's like, yeah, I got you. I just got to beat my face.
It's a slight beat, y'all. Just a slight beat. We didn't do too much. We even talking about doing some makeup stuff, just some simple stuff. Just get on and just do some simple things, because a lot of women, they just want to know to do simple things, and you don't have to go all the way out to do some simple stuff to make it look cute, make it simple. Exactly. All right, so sending y'all much love. Leave your comments. Until we talk again. Talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.